Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solution Strategy here at Regalix, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And I'm excited to welcome our guest today, and Rimi Bewtra. Rimi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
You have a really interesting title here, Vice President of Industry Solutions and Developer Marketing.
That's right.
That's three kind of different things.
They are different things, but so Snowflake Computing is a data warehouse company, and essentially it's actually quite unique as a data warehouse company. As you know, data warehousing has been around for a long time, but it's built completely in the cloud. So, and the whole architecture is very different in the way it was built. They've had a tremendous run rate, three years in the market, with a ton of customers. I think we're upwards of 1,400, and the official numbers, wow. They're changing by the day, by the week. So it's always it's a very exciting place. But right now, where they're about 400 employees, and I came in after many years at Oracle. Had a great time there, but the reason why I came in is here is where I can actually start something. And they're in the perfect place to actually start to verticalize their strategy and their approach, because what they've started to see is a growing number of customers, marquee customers in key verticals like financial services, like retail, healthcare, gaming, entertainment, you name it. So what we're trying to do is kind of really ground up. My role will be first to develop that vertical strategy for Snowflake. Additionally, solutions is another component where we're looking at these solutions like data sharing as a concept that you're going to hear a lot more about in the year to come. And again, there is that industry tie-in, but data sharing, what does that mean? And because in this data-driven economy, that is something each vertical industry is starting to talk about. So that would be kind of an example of a solution that we'd be looking at, but also other solutions for marketing, for HR. What does data-driven mean, and how do you take advantage of data analytics sitting on top of a data warehouse? And then finally, the third aspect is developer marketing. Developers are, as we all know, the biggest evangelists, but the hardest part is convincing them. So,
because they have to learn a technology, and once they've invested in learning it, they don't want to change either. So they're going to be loyal.
They're going to be loyal, but they're going to test you out, and you need to give them content in a different way. They don't believe in the marketing speak, so they want to hear from the practitioners. They want to try it out. So I really have three aspects to my job. I mean, they are kind of different, but I think I'm ready for that challenge, and it is kind of starting something ground up, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, we're happy to have you here. And so how long have you been in marketing?
I think I'm dating myself, but at least 20 years now.
Okay,
20 plus.
So 20 years, and in this series here for digital and marketing leaders, we talk a lot about digital transformation. So what have you seen, we don't have to go back 20 years. Let's go back like 5 years and just say, how have you seen marketing be impacted through digital transformation over the last 3 years?
I think marketing, it's one of the most exciting times to be a marketer. And I'm not saying it because I'm a marketer. I really actually believe it and see it because I think we're just tapping into the true potential of what we can do. And it's because of two things. Not only the digital that you see in terms of all these different tools that we have, how we consume our information, but it's also about the data. And now, for the first time, I feel like we actually can put much more science behind marketing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not the days of Mad Men where everything was a gut feel, intuition. We're moving away from that, and we're able to support that. I mean, you may still I don't think you should ever lose your intuitiveness, but the data really makes a case for why you need to go in one direction. The data gives you that confidence that you can be agile and kind of shift if you need to shift. And I think that's why marketing is more exciting than ever before.
So not only is your role as a marketer changing because of all this, the solutions that Snowflake is actually offering support that too, doesn't it?
Definitely. In fact, I think Even in my past roles, definitely it was happening. Here, it's much more visible to me. I think the power of the data, I can get my hands on pretty much any data that I want to as a marketer. It's now I'm trying to spend time. What are the questions that I have?
Right.
I'm actually spending time on that. Before I used to feel like, oh, if only I could see this, if only I could understand what assets are really working. All of that is available to me. I can see and I can start to look at the customer's journey and be more intelligent in how I deliver my content to them.
Oh, very good. Thank you for sharing that. So it's almost, you can't find a sentence where it doesn't say data-driven when there's not also the word agile.
That's right.
So we want to be more data-driven in marketing so that we can be more agile. What does that look like at Snowflake?
I think they go hand in hand. So data-driven is part of the DNA of this company, obviously. I think the mission statement is to enable every organization to be data-driven. So that's the mission statement for Snowflake. Agile is a word that I think every company, every cloud company, every company out there is trying to be more agile. I think it's much easier for companies like Snowflake that are in that hyper growth state to be agile, to be truly agile, because we can actually run campaigns, do the A/B testing around the campaign, shift direction without too much kind of overhead. And whereas I think larger companies, you go down a path, it takes a little while to start going down the path, and it may take a little longer to shift directions. I think larger companies are doing it too, but at a company like Snowflake, at the stage that we're at, we're able to respond much more quickly.
Very good. So I'm going to ask you to put on your marketer's hat, and let's talk a little bit about marketing here. Everybody kind of has this goal of providing personalized experiences, and they want not only a personalized experience, but it needs to be contextually relevant. Earlier you said you have to approach developers a little bit different. So that's a persona, right?
That's right.
You need to personalize it. If the person's a developer, you need to approach them different, show them different kinds of content. How do you do that here at Snowflake?
So I think some of the basics of marketing, that continues, right? So we need to look at, and then that's exactly what I think my role is here for, is, up till now, Snowflake has been selling and positioning the data warehouse horizontally. And that's worked, and it's working, and it'll continue to work. But I think the value is I need to now, one of my roles is to talk to the specific persona, to talk to the specific industry, and start to get more kind of industry specific in my content delivery. The data warehouse is still the data warehouse, but how do I make it so that the value comes out and comes through to them? So the personalization of marketing is definitely a key part of my role here. Again, I'm going to come back to some of the tools that I have as a marketer now that are available through, so things like activity-based marketing, huge here.
Yes.
In fact, I could spend probably another hour with you on just
So what does that mean?
Well, so that is really just kind of really taking a closer look at what are the types of activities are the customers or the prospects that are as they're on their journey, what are they kind of paying attention to? How long are they spending time on your webpage? Which section of the webpage? How do you deliver the content if they've spent a significant amount of time on your webpage, for example? How do you make sure that you target, they must have been somewhat interested in that content. How do you make sure that the next thing that you promote to them is related to that? And so really getting smarter as a marketer to deliver on some of this content that you're giving to them.
So if there's 18 pieces of content for developers, are you able to kind of say, okay, they've seen 9 of these 18, so maybe we want to be promoting the 10th and 11th and 12th piece of content?
Definitely. And it could be other things that they haven't seen. You may like, you see the Amazons of the world already doing that to us, right? Like, you bought these 3 things. We thought that you might like this 4th thing. and it happens to be on sale,
Yes,
so those kinds of things, that's from a B2C environment, but definitely B2B, it's very relevant because our customers are much smarter these days when they come to us. Before they come to us, they do their research, right?
Okay. So you've seen that change over the last few years?
Definitely. Okay. I think they come in because so much information is available to them, whether it's websites or, attending events and webinars and things like that. They can usually come in with a level of, maturity in the process, so that they come in with, here's some things that I need solving.
Okay.
So what are you going to do for me?
So I have a question, and nobody else is around, okay? If they want credible information, they might think that your website's just going to give you biased marketing information. So do they go to secondary and tertiary websites to get more details about you and then come back to you?
Definitely.
So is that part of your strategy to make sure you have great content on other websites that people can also look at?
Definitely. We're always looking at not only the ecosystem that we work with. We work with industry analysts. I mean, that's kind of something that's been around, even before. But you can't control all the information that's out there as well. So I think the job is your customer, and the customers are savvy enough to know that just because they saw something on some site,
right,
that they may question it, but they'll give you a chance to respond. And I think that's where they do want to talk to the real customer. Let me talk to that real customer. So those things, I think, have always been there in marketing, and it continues to be the case. So I think those will be there. But our job is to start to understand that customer a little bit more. What is it that would get them to, what kind of content do I need to give them? Initially, it could be an infographic. But an infographic, as the customer's moving further down the journey, is not enough.
Right.
They may need that value calculator. They may need that, so some of those things prompted to them, where that customer continues to ask the right questions and you steer them, in the direction that you want.
Absolutely. So you talked about infographics and other kinds of information. Are there different pieces or different kinds of content that used to work, but now trends have changed and they don't work as well now? Are people leaning more toward video than they used to? What are you seeing out there for content and the value of it?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, again, a little bit does depend on the person, the persona that you're still trying to get to. But I think bite-sized content, digestible content, we're all very, we use all senses, right? So it's no longer just about reading that lengthy white paper. If I can listen to it, if I can watch it, exactly. Podcasts, videos. But also, I think none of it's gone away either. The technical documents, they are right for certain people, depending on who you're trying to get to. But yes, I think snackable content is very, very popular. So those things have been introduced. Customer focused, kind of videos are also very valuable, continue to be. But so are value calculators. Let me put in my numbers and see what kind of potential savings I can have,
So more kinds of tools also.
Tools, exactly, that are easy to use, that I can quickly engage with. Social is a big aspect. People read blogs and get their information, so I think, and then the connectedness between the content. I think if one leads you to the next thing, that's great. If your short video is, if it's 2 minutes long, but it leaves you with something else and you can kind of choose to go there as a customer, I think that's beneficial, and that's where you're kind of trying to guide that customer, by having your content connected.
Absolutely. So over time, companies seem to emphasize, instead of just various parts of marketing and sales, they're looking at the overall customer experience.
That's
and
right.
in some companies I've seen where the role of marketing and sales is kind of shifted around, and it's a little bit different, the relationship between the two. How have you seen it? Have you seen any kind of change in relationship between sales and marketing? Is marketing does it have more responsibility today than it used to, or what are you seeing out there?
That's probably this. There's a few things about Snowflake that I am super impressed about, but that is definitely one of the top 5 things that I am very excited about. The tight bond that sales and marketing have. And I'm seeing the potential. And part of it is because marketing is now able to deliver qualified leads. So when you pull a customer through the MQL funnel, the leads that go to sales are actually qualified, and sales values that tremendously. And so the relationship that this marketing team has built with sales is very impressive to me. And I think we're just still tapping into it, and they recognize it. In fact, we're they invite marketing to every one of their meetings. So it's not just about just generate awareness. It's about the demand, and they know that if lead has come to them, it's been qualified, so it's worth every minute of their time. And when sales finds value in what you do, that's when the relationship gets stronger.
Oh, that's beautiful. So with the proliferation of data, so there's data everywhere. How do you, as a marketer and a leader, look at that and say, how can we best use this to drive more revenue?
So I think data is, here is where I think the power of the data warehouse comes in. I think it's really important to capture all types of data. Data comes in from a lot of different sources, whether it's mobile, web, chatbots. All of that being captured in one place is one of the first things. But then the analytics that you do on that data is how you uncover what you can do with it. And here at Snowflake, again, we use pretty much all the other modern marketing tools out there, whether it's to manage the campaign, data visualization tools like Tableau and Looker. There's a whole bunch that gets used, so you can actually measure the engagement of your customer base, so you can see from start of the quarter to the end of the quarter, and measure yourself on how are we engaging the customers. If not, why not? What's happening? So I think getting that understanding is really important, but that's where the data analytics aspect comes in, and really again figuring out what are those right questions that I need to be asking, and how do I fine tune.
Oh, absolutely. So and I think you shared this earlier, but one of the questions I really want to drive into are you finding that customers are far more educated today than they used to be when they come to your website? Have they already done all the research and they're coming to you later in the path? So if they're on a customer journey and there's 9 steps in a customer journey, are they at step 6 before you even know about it? Or what do you think?
No, I don't know if it's step 6. They're definitely smarter when they come in. I think they by the time they come in, or they've been talking to competitors, they've been spending time on, if they hear your name, they're doing some of their own homework. I don't think because they're smarter, they know how to ask the right questions. I think you still have to do a lot of work to get them to really, to convince them that, you need to still do the same things. You need to show them that, the product works. You can show them the potential. You need to really show them the value. And so I think that still exists. But yeah, I think that it's not like what it used to be, where you're just, they have no idea what it is. Generally speaking, if they've come into the system, and then again, with marketing and sales working hand in hand, at least our field sales teams, when they're getting the sales qualified leads, there is some level of education that has happened. So they know that there's been some touch points that the customer has gone through. So they've at least seen a webcast or something, and so we're able to give that information back. So even the sales rep is a little bit smarter, in how they start talking to that customer.
Very good. So do you have the ability to show the sales team kind of what has been consumed by that customer already?
We do. It's not about what it is. We can definitely tell them, hey, webinars and this and that, but we can also show them visually, here's where, the engagement of that customer, here they started off here, but this is what percentage have moved through the marketing funnel. So
that's exciting. You can see the impact of digital transformation, huge on marketing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this kind of forward thinking, where are there still gaps in the technology that where there's still challenges in marketing that marketing's still trying to solve?
Well, I think I think that there's a lot of tools out there, and it is getting solved. It's kind of happening in parallel, but there's different tools for data visualization, different tools for deep analytics, different tools, the analytics around how you engage with that customer. It's bringing them together. The connectedness is something that, again, the data warehouse helps to do, but I think data is being collected on so many different levels that I think that's just an ongoing process. I think it is, the systems that we use here are definitely very connected. They're very available, but there's different tools for different things. So
is the problem a lack of integration or difficulty with integration?
It's not. It's one is the lack maybe of or the integration still happening on some levels, and then there continues to be kind of these areas of as we understand that we're engaging. So for example, in each area, like mobile as an example. Yeah. Mobile analytics has still room to grow, room to improve. There is lots of mobile analytics that you can get. Chatbots is a new thing that we also have started to leverage, but how much more a chatbot can do, it's tremendous, the impact that it's had here. Like I've been talking to our BDR teams, and we introduced the chatbot and they saw a flurry of activity.
I know every time I go to your website, the little AI guy is popping up.
Yep, our Polar bot.
Yeah, and he wants to talk to me.
Yep, exactly. So, but there's a lot more that we can do with the Polar bot, for example. We've just started to, kind of as we're kind of seeing how people want to interact with a chatbot, I think we're just tapping into it. So some of this is, as these tools get introduced, you get more ideas and more things that you want to do with it.
So tell me, Rimi, where do you see marketing going over the next 36 months? How do you see it continuing to evolve? What do you think it's going to look like?
I think that it's kind of endless. Like I feel like marketing, before marketing used to be viewed as kind of this high spend, kind of this group that's like, okay, they're always kind of coming up with new ideas. They're spending lots of money. I think it's already changed to it's a strategic differentiator, and I think it's going to become much more so at companies of all sizes. I think marketing is finally, not only does it have a seat at the boardroom, but marketing and IT together can be incredibly powerful. And I think that's where it's going in the next 36 months.
Rimi, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
This is brilliant. So your wisdom, your insight, your experience, what you're seeing, what you're building, and just sharing that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank you guys for watching as well.